So we started Torah Samech Vav 66. Okay, we've been speaking about Eliyahu and Elisha. This is Eliyahu. This is the higher spirit. This is the higher tzaddik, and then we have Elisha, who's the lower spirit, the lower tzaddik. However, we see that Elisha was able to accomplish in some ways more than his master. Why was he able to do such a thing? And the answer is because the follower, or the chassid, or the student, in some ways he can more manifest what the Rebbe has in potential. Who is able to get a double portion from his Rebbe? And it's the one who has the greatest attachment to him. And how do you know your level of attachment? So Rav Nachman said something very interesting. He said, if you can feel his ups and downs. It sounds very like psychological New Age experience. That you experience the ups and downs of your Rebbe. However, when you do that, you know that you have a real deep attachment to him. And then Rav Nachman says you should spend as much time as possible with your Rebbe because he may pass away. It's a very bizarre thing to say. Until Rabbi Nachman explains that passing away can mean a few things. The first thing passing away is its simple meaning. The second thing passing away can mean is that his name is being trampled on. And that is also a loss of life. Just like when you embarrass somebody in person, it's like you killed them. And then, the third thing, which is the most relevant to us, is every time that he goes from level to level, that's also a passing on. No, if you speak it in person, it's like
yeah, you speak behind someone's back, that's good.
Questions are for the end. Yofi? It's a program.
Yofi.
We have a program going on over here. Okay, so good.
Again, the program.
What's the benefit of being by your Rebbe every time he passes away? And the answer is that there's a higher spirit of his own soul that comes down, and it attaches itself to the lower spirit, which are the students. So therefore, if you're by him when he passes, then you're able to get that influx of spiritual inspiration. Now, how do you know how attached you are to him, or where you are, so to speak, in connection to him? So you see this beautiful tree over here? We have this on the video camera? This could be the... I was thinking this could be the near Shir Chadash icon. Have this on the group.
Mascot, that's the mascot.
This is actually a tree which I use different colors to point out the different aspects. You have the main tree, and this is the tzaddik. This is tzaddik. Now I want you to picture this tree flipped upside down. Now he is suckling from the roots. These roots we're going to say is called the insult. This is where he is receiving his influx of life from. Now what does he do? He now draws that down into himself and he gives it forth. Who's giving it to? The people who are attached to him. Therefore, who feels his ups and downs? So we said it's the branches. They have the greatest deveku with them, so they get the highest amount of influx. Now, where are they getting the influx from? They're not getting it from the roots. They're getting it from the tzaddik who's getting it from the roots. And so on and so forth. As we go and we have the branches of the branches, the sub-branches, and then we have the leaves. It kind of looks like a menorah, which is by Hashgacha Pratis. Yeah. But you see here that this is the whole thing. And in addition to that, we know that according to the Zohar, that the tzaddik has another name. His name is Shabbat.
Maybe that was for you.
Which we know is a code word for Olam Haba. And we learned in last class something very interesting. Olam Haba is actually referring to the fact not that it was in the future and we're looking forward to it, but it's now and we're drawing it into this world. Olam Haba doesn't mean it's coming, it means it's constantly coming.
Present progressive.
Yes, into this world. And who is drawing Olam Haba into this world? It's Shabbat. It's the tzaddik. One concept. So the more that you keep Shabbat, the more that you're attached to the tzaddik, the more you're able to draw Olam Haba into your own life. And through this, you're able to achieve higher levels of spiritual revelations in your life. Okay. And we said this is why in the Pasuk it said, when Eliyahu was speaking to Elisha, he said, if you're there when I pass away, and I'm passing from you, not just that I'm passing away, but I'm passing from you, meaning it's hinting to the fact that you feel the fact that I'm leaving. Because we're that attached, he said, if you have that level of attachment to me, you'll get the double portion, which he did. Then we spoke about a second concept, which is very interesting, which we didn't finish discussing, which is the concept of
The olive and the one.
The Vision side.
the olive.
Why didn't you just write an actual? Why you gotta make it complicated?
Oh, percentage.
The olive. And what do we say this represents? We said that this represents prior to creation, we'll call it
Potential. Potential.
or potential. This represents post-creation
Actual.
and actual. And this represents equal bread. Thank God we were taping this. And they're going to see that we have racist students in our class.
At least they don't see my face.
They said the students are a reflection of the teachers, so thank God. How? Because the Vav is equal to 6. Six is the sixth sphera of Yesod, which is the bread. Now, how do we bring potential of pre-creation into actual or post-creation? We need to make sure this isn't leaking. Now, I want you to imagine the olive folded up. You would see it's the same on both sides, right? So we did this yesterday. So before you turn something into actual, it's like before even creation when there's still one. But the goal of existence is to bring things into reality, into action. This is the whole goal of your life. This is the deep meaning for why Puravu is such an important mitzvah, which is Benny's favorite mitzvah.
Which mitzvah?
Puravu, to procreate and multiply, because on a deeper level, it's not just that Hashem wants us to be, there to be a lot of Jews in the world, but this whole world is about manifesting potential and bring it into actuality. And the way that you do it, and to the greatest degree that you can do it, is through the Brit. The Brit is the gateway. And this is what it means, that the final deed is first in thought. How do you bring first in thought into final in deed? You're going to see it has to do with the Brit.
A child. What about anything else? Writing a book. You want to accomplish that goal.
That's awful.
What does that have to do with the bridge?
So the answer is like this. This Brit is like they call it in the Zohar Rakia.
Uh-huh.
Firmament.
Firmament.
It's a gate. It's a
That's
gate.
what this means. Firmamented?
Meaning that
Fermented. Yeah.
what is separating your thought or your dream from becoming a reality? It's the Brit. So when you're holding by the Brit, then your dreams, your thoughts, your desires, Hashem allows them to come into the world. Now, when you waste seed, so your You're turning your ability to turn potential to actual, and it's taken. Because you're wasting that potential, that seed.
You're saying Zara builds?
Zera is building and creating. It's
That could also destroy it.
But it could also destroy. Meaning it's not allowing you to move forward with it.
Zera can destroy.
Zara Levatel.
Zera.
Oh,
Okay. We saw this also with the two names of Hashem. You have Yud K Vav K, and you have Adnut. Where you have the first Yud is also the last letter of Adnut. Yud K Vav K represents before creation, Hashem in potential, so to speak. The fact that He is giving energy and power into the world, so to speak, like in potential, transcendent. But then we have the aspect of Hashem that's imminent, that you experience Him in your life, that you experience Him in this world. That's called Adnut. And the last letter is the first letter, and that's first indeed. Sorry, first in thought is last indeed.
When you're experiencing it's called Adnut.
Yes,
So in Shemona Esrei we say
Adnut, because we're trying to experience it. Yeah.
What's Adnut?
And the way that you experience Hashem
You know the word
The way we-
Adon.
is through tefillah.
So
That's
that
also
name that we can't say.
right, but there's two ways. There's the way to say it and the way to write it.
At the end. The end. The end. Everybody the end.
That's why Ashkenazim have two Yuds. It's the name of Hashem because it's the beginning of the Yud Kei Vav Kei and the end of Adon.
And you have 6 letters in between the two Yuds. You have Yud K Vav K and you have Adnut. And you have 6 letters in between, which is the Vav, which is the Brit. So what brings the first Yud of Yud K Vav K and manifested in this world as the final Yud? 6, the Brit. And the Brit encompasses Torah as well. You need both. Now the two Yuds are initially bound together and there's nothing differentiating them. So we refer to this when we say Poteach et Yadecha. Umasbir laho chai ratzon. But we're going to hold on that for 1 second. I want to say something interesting first. He said that these two spirits, the higher spirit and the lower spirit, which we connect, right, with the Brit, there's also a parallel concept that we have to hold by besides the Brit, which we haven't really spoke about yet, which is not getting angry. The Gemara in Shabbat says that a person who gets angry, it's like he worships Avodah Zarah. The Zohar says more than that. The Zohar says, based on a pasuk in Eov, he tears apart his soul with his anger. The Ari adds that on account of the impure soul that his anger brings to him, doing tshuva is very difficult. Because the merit of his mitzvot that he does following his anger is not going to his real neshama, it's going to his soul of the other side. And therefore, the only way for him to actually do real tshuva and get back to his own neshama is by committing to not getting angry anymore, which is obviously very difficult. So you see here, what's stopping a person, so to speak, from bringing influx and shefa into his life? Anger. So in a sense, anger is a manifestation of wasting seed as well.
Wow. Words destroy worlds.
How?
Words destroy worlds.
I'll explain it to you. These two spirits, how do you bring the higher spirit down to the lower spirit? So if Nachman says through Hamtakat Haron Af, by mitigating anger. How? When Hashem wanted to create the world, He did it through the aspect of din, which is the aspect of anger. And He saw that He couldn't create like this. He couldn't bring down blessing like this. So therefore He mitigates it through rachamim, which is mitigation of anger. So too in our lives, you also do not create your own world. You can't bring that blessing into your life until you first mitigate it. This goes even deeper.
Mitigate is damtik?
Yeah. Rav Nachman says elsewhere, if you find that out of nowhere something happens which elicits your anger, you should know that the reason is because Hashem wants to give you money.
What?
Hashem wants to give you...
You didn't know this?
No. I know that. Stop it. Which is I'm angry all day. Stop it.
He's like, and I'm broke.
I was angry earlier.
Hashem wants to give you money.
I don't know what happened.
However, the Yetzer Hara doesn't want to give you that money. Now, why does the Yetzer Hara care if you have money?
Testing.
Why does the
Testing.
Why does the Yetzer Hara care that you have money? And the answer is when you use it for good, it raises up your soul. So it doesn't want to give you that money. It also gives you peace of mind, so you don't want that money. So what does the Yetzer Hara do? It only has one thing left before you finally get the money. It puts a random circumstance which elicits your anger. And if you do not act on that anger, you get that money.
How much?
Just
Much
say.
to fill this bag.
All the rubies. So I've actually experienced this in my life. As soon as I read this Torah,
Wow.
I got angry and I nullified it because I'm like, maybe Hashem and I got more money very soon after that.
You got rich.
So you see, what is that anger? It's vav. So to speak, this vav is actually either a gateway or it's a barrier. When you waste seed or you get angry,
Ripping apart money.
waste seed,
Ripping money.
which what happens when you waste seed?
Wasting your shot.
So we say that your neshama actually gets trapped by the sitra achra. Now what happens when you get
That the
angry?
seed did not offer.
Who's that? The Yetzer Hara?
Yeah. What happens when you get angry? The same exact thing. The Arizal says that when you get angry, the soul gets trapped as well by the sitra achra. The Arizal was known for being makpid, that no matter what he did, no matter what, he never allowed himself to get angry. They said that his students said that he was obsessed with this. Never to get angry. Why? It's the wasting of seed. It's comparable.
Wow. So it's the same thing.
So it's the same thing. Just like wasting seed makes it very difficult to make money easily, so too getting angry does the same. And the Gemara says
but
this
it's
clearly.
even worse. It's resetting anything. It's soref nafsho b'afo.
Why? Because he's getting angry all the time?
He wasn't getting angry.
Why are you asking if he's poor? To be rich, no?
No, because he was never able to mitigate his anger.
Why are you saying that?
No, I'm asking.
Yes, of course he was.
I'm saying,
Nothing in blame. Okay, we're going to move forward. Questions for the end. So, Levi, we're saying like this. Just like wasting seed makes it very difficult to make jangi, parnasa, right? So too, when you get angry, it also. Why? Because the anger is, so to speak, like the vav in between the two. When you want to bring potential money into real money, so you need to pass the gate, and the gate is anger. So when you mitigate your anger, you remove the gate, and then potential becomes actual. And we said something amazing. Rav Nachman says elsewhere in another Torah in Likutey Moharan, see there, Ayin Sham.
Which one?
I don't know. I have to go back. I like to say terms I see in the Torah. It gets me excited. He says that when Hashem is prepared to give you money, another sum of money or a source of money or something's about to come in for you, the Yetzer Hara has only one trick left to get you,
Pissed off.
is to get you angry. And if you pass the test by nullifying your anger, you get that money. And if you don't, it goes. Happy to Wow, see that? Hashgacha pratis.
What?
everything happened before we came here. 30 minutes.
He got angry at his daughter.
And he was furious. I'm not angry, I'm furious.
That's why they say your wife is the source of your money.
What is that?
He's good, he's good.
So that's why I say your wife is the source of your parnasa. Yeah. Because she's the source of your charon.
Testing.
Okay.
Why is our own app?
Okay. Now listen to this for all of you smokers. When charon af exists,
Like anger.
it is the aspect of jewel, smoke emerging from your nostrils. And it says that this smoke is detrimental to one's livelihood. It's difficult to make parnasa when you're smoking jewel.
Thank God I
What are you
have.
talking about? Rav Nachman himself was hitting the pipe. What are you talking about?
Don't make things up. You don't know
wasn't
what you're
since
talking
he looked around.
about.
I didn't say, I said pipe.
Can you rewind? Rewind.
Said smoke rose in his nose, which is an aspect of anger. We're saying anger causes you to lose money that's destined for you, and smoke is an aspect of that. I was making a joke that the smoke is getting in the way, although the people who have to be smoking here are having a very difficult time making money. Maybe they're angry, and the anger is being diffused through the smoking, so maybe that's the connection. Now when a person has an income, everybody focus.
What is livelihood? Livelihood is when you take potential, you put it into reality. When a person has an income and he's not dependent on other human beings, only this person merits the truth. He's going to say later on in this Torah something very interesting, which makes sense. As long as you are dependent on other people, can you read for himself? As long as you're dependent on other people, you can never actually merit real truth.
What? Can you make it?
Can I even merit the truth?
You can never merit the truth. Rav Nachman's going to say, as long as you're dependent on others, that doesn't mean necessarily you make your money from other people, you need to be self-sufficient, but it means you yourself are prostituting yourself to this person. You're right. You need them. You feel like you need them. You feel like you need to make an impression on them. Whatever. You need somebody besides God. You can never get real truth. Never get real truth.
What if it's your Rebbe?
So let's see. That's how you experience the Shekhinah. So not like that. Smoke, it says, is harmful to the eyes, and the eyes correspond to livelihood. Your parnasa. Like it said, everyone looks to you and they hope.
What number are you?
You give them your sustenance. Don't worry. This is because anger, which is the aforementioned aspect of smoke, is detrimental to one's livelihood. One has to break his anger and mitigate it. He has to mitigate the smoke and stop smoking jewel, and through this he gets rid of his impurities until it is turned into ruach, pure air, which is the air of the land of Israel, miracles, parnasa.
It's Likutey Moharan with Shir Chadash.
Yes, this tranquil ruach produced by purifying smoke. Now, how elevated, how high is this avoda of nullifying your anger? Is this a small thing? Is this a big thing? Rav Nachman says something amazing here. Says the ruach, which is made by mitigating your anger, is mamish bechina Mashiach. That when you are getting angry and you're able to overcome that and not follow through, you actually have the ruach of Mashiach, which is enlivening you. This ruach of our nose is the Mashiach of God. As long as this aspect of ruach has yet to enter the hands, which is the nose, it is still called prior to existence. You're going to see in a minute what the hands have to do with it. But hands are the aspect of bringing potential down into reality. We know that David HaMelech, who's the concept of Mashiach, he is going to bring all of our spiritual potential and bring it into reality. Where do you see a connection between David and the hand? The answer is the gematria of David is 14 and the gematria of hand, Yad, is 14. He is the actualizer.
He is the hand of Hashem.
He is the Yad of Hashem. He is the Yad of Hashem, which is going to destroy. Yeah. This is because existence is primarily in the aspect of the hands. That's why we say, into your hand I entrust my ruach. That is, in his hand is the soul of every living thing. Afterwards, when the ruach is revealed in the hands, which are these two spirits, meaning you have the potential spirits and you have the actualized spirit, these are the two hands. As long as you haven't brought potential into actual, meaning you're either wasting seed or you're getting angry, so as a result of this, you have yet to unfold the hand, so to speak. This is because the potential and actual are still bound together.
If you do both, then you're screwed.
Is this the concept of the olive? When you take the yud from the final, from the beginning and from the end, and you put them together?
Kind of.
Kind of? Or yeah?
Kind of. So as long as you are still wasting, or in this case in the Torah we're talking about anger, which we're saying is comparable, so it's as though that your hands are still together. And your state of potential and your state of actual is still one. Now our job is to manifest potential to actual. How do we do this? Not getting angry. And as a result of not getting angry and mitigating that anger, and we're going to find out how we do that in a moment, so as a result of that, potential becomes actual.
Is there also a thing that a person's not allowed to be with his wife until...
This is the meaning of Poteach Eyadecha Umasbiach Yachol Lechol. I made it up. Poteach Eyadecha Umasbiach Chai Ratzon. Why? Because the word Poteach means to unfold. Poteach Eyadecha, meaning the hands are together. We're asking Hashem, open the hands. Make potential go to actual. Poteach et Yadecha Umasbiach Lechol Chai Ratzon. And Yadecha is spelled with 2 yuds, meaning the potential and the actual. We're alluding to it. In addition, this word poteach is similar to the word, one second here, patach, like the vowel point, like this. We're saying poteach et yadecha, open your hands, meaning, let's do this, open it up, that's where the parnasa comes in. And that's why it's so important to say it with a lot of fervor. The Shulchan Aruch says if you don't have like kavanah when you say poteach et yadecha, you halachically have to say it again. It's that important. What does it mean, poteach et yadecha? You're acknowledging that Hashem is the source of your income. What is the main reason people get angry? Because they need money. And their wives are feeling they're bugging because you don't have money. And then you get angry because you're getting sad, because you're feeling hopeless. And then you start to prostitute yourself for money. We want to make sure that we know that all money comes from Hashem. Everything comes from Hashem. Now I want to move forward a little bit and skip an area and now move to the next part, which is how do we turn potential into actual? How do we mitigate our anger? Turning potential into actual entails perfecting your speech. Again. Can somebody put their phone on silent? Whose is this? Bag it.
What number are we on?
This is 3A. The letters of speech have to be in a state of wholeness. This is accomplished through the Bechina of Olam Haba, through which the letters of speech are made whole. Because why? What is the main difference between the future and now? Then it says, Tzefania says that everybody's going to be talking to Hashem. Meaning that speech is perfected. When is speech perfect? When you're talking to Hashem, or you're talking about Hashem. Holy speech. They say that in the future, the Metzudat, he is a commentary, a Perush, he says that everybody's going to be speaking Lashon HaKodesh in the future. This is the concept of perfected speech. That's why the Pasuk says, for then I will turn the nations, return to the nations a pure language so that they all may call upon the name of Hashem. From this we see that speech is going to be perfect. Because at present, speech is lacking and imperfect. Since the entire world does not call out to Hashem through speech. But in the future, even those who worshipped idolatry, they are going to call out to Him in His perfect speech. The faculty of speech will then be called Shalem, perfect. And this is the pure language that everybody will be speaking to Hashem in. And all this will be in the future, because that is when the Jews' greatness is going to be revealed. Because our greatness is revealed to the extent that we talk to Hashem. At that time, all will know and recognize our greatness, since everyone will then recognize the greatness of the tzaddikim, which right now we don't, because speech is in exile. And he says, happy are they and happy is their lot. How abundant is the good that's in store for them in the future. Right? In contrast, the Rishayim are going to be defeated. You are going to crush the Rishayim. And this is the day, the great day of judgment, when each person is going to be brought to judgment. And he says, Rav Nachman says, for every detail of every action of their life, no small matter is going to be weighed for him, because Hashem doesn't have the aspect of forgetfulness. Hashem doesn't forget anything. So obviously this sounds overwhelming, right? Hashem remembers everything. He calculates everything. You get schar or onesh for everything. But on the other hand, the beautiful aspect of this is that Hashem remembers everything that you try and do in your life. He appreciates everything very, very deeply. Every attempt that you make to try to come closer to Him, whether it's small, whether it's big, whether it's momentary, Hashem appreciates very, very much every little thing. Everything that you do, He appreciates very much. And then, with the downfall of the Rishayim, the entire world are going to do tshuva and recognize the difference between the tzaddikim and the Rishayim. And then, precisely then, on the day of judgment, you're going to see the difference between tzaddikim and Rishayim, because as a result of this, everyone's going to turn to Hashem and speak to Him. Now, how is it that we can draw an aspect of Olam Haba? Olam Haba into Olam Hazeh. How do we draw perfected speech into this world? You should know now at this point, without looking any further.
How what?
How do you draw perfected speech or the aspect of Olam Haba into this world? Olam Hazeh. And how do you mitigate anger and perfect your speech? To the truth. Through the truth. Through the truth.
1 second again.
Now, Rab Nachman says, when is truth the greatest?
When it's true.
When a person is not dependent on other human beings. When a person is not dependent on other people, then he can have real truth. Because it says in Masechet Brachot, when someone is dependent on other human beings, his face changes color like a krum. What's a krum? So the Gemara says it was this bird that when the sun shone on his face, it turned many different colors. What does that have to do with us? What happens for us when we feel like we have an opportunity to advance ourselves, either financially or in our occupation, whatever it is, that we feel like we can make a gains in our life? So we want to do whatever we can to massage the situation in our favor. We go up to that person. We try to look good for that person. We try to say certain things that we think that person would like. We hang out with that person even though we don't want to because we don't like them and we think they're a loser, but still we spend time with them because they have money. All of this means that you're not holding on to the truth. Because this guy does not have money. Hashem has money and he gave it to this loser. And now you're spending much time trying to get on his good side. This is a waste of time. This is the reason someone who's dependent on other people finds it very difficult to pray in public. He says it would be much more beneficial and easier for him to pray in private. Why? Because while he's in public, he has self-esteem issues. And he constantly wants to look a certain part for others, and he can't pray with truth. On account of this, he's being dependent on other people, and then he prays with hand clapping and with rocking back and forth. People who don't hold on to truth. Anybody.
So you're not allowed to rock back and forth?
Nachman says if it's actually bringing you to a higher state of prayer, so it's a good thing. But if you find that you're not really doing it for that, but you might be doing it to draw attention to yourself, or for any other reason besides the fact that it's bringing you closer to Hashem, so this is called lies. And this is removing your truth, and you can't get your praise answered without truth. Even someone who earns his own living and so does not have to rely on others for his livelihood, he still may rely on others for other things, like respect or some other thing. In other words, he craves respect or prominence, and then he's dependent on other people since he needs their respect and esteem. When he is dependent on other human beings for anything, he is in jeopardy of perpetrating a grave lie while praying. That he needs something besides Hashem. Now, there are individuals who they have a little bit of Yirat Hashem, and they're somewhat yashar, they're somewhat straight, upright. They're too ashamed to pray with hand clapping and rocking for no reason. And their intention is to pray honestly, but he says still their truth is overly many. And so too is untrue. Because as long as a person has multiple truths, he's not holding on to any truth. Because Rav Nachman says there is no multiplicity of truth. Truth is only one. And it's brought elsewhere in Likutey Moharan, and he speaks a lot more about this. What's the main essential difference between truth and falsehood? Is that the truth is one and falsehood is many. Truth is one and falsehood is many. What did I tell you guys the principal difference between the essence of a Jew and not? The Jew is supposed to unify. He's supposed to make one because it's truth. The essence of a Jew is truth. And what about the Sitra Achra? What is it trying to do to you? Separate. To bring disunity. This is falsehood. In other words, because they are too ashamed to pray with outright falseness, they want to conceal the falseness, and they're praying as if they're praying with truth, but they're still not praying with truth, because they don't depend completely on Hashem alone. For example, a person may wish to impress others through some motion or clapping of his hands, but he finds this pretentious prayer embarrassing. He therefore deceives himself. The Yetzer Hara convolutes his reasoning until he convinces himself, you know what, no, I am doing this in order to pray more intensely. I'm not doing this for other people.
Justifying himself?
Justifying himself. This is also a lack of truth. That is, for the sake of truth, he manufactures some personal rationalization. Now I want you to think about how many opportunities you've had in your life that you knew weren't really good, or you got advice from somebody, and you took that advice and you did whatever you wanted with it instead of what he said. Or you convince yourself, you know what, this is a good opportunity for me. It's a good opportunity for me to do this, even though the real truth is you're only doing it for the money. Or let's say that there's a girl that you like, but you don't really like her because she likes you and she's good for you. You like her because you haven't been with somebody in a long time and you want to have a release of some sort.
You hear what he's saying, guys? Repeat that last thing.
Yes, it could be both. Benny.
One time. Can you repeat that last?
Again, I was saying that when it comes to praying, so we have this aspect of falsehood, but even when it comes to, let's say, I have a job opportunity, I can make money, or I can be with a certain girl, right? So if the reason you want to be with the girl is because it's really good for you and you really like her, that's true. But if you're doing it for any other reason, like you want to have a release, so then that's multiple reasons. That's not truth because the truth is one. And then you're entering the state of falsehood, and this is a barrier to blessing in your life. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yes, you want to, but even with yourself, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing at any moment of your day, am I doing this honestly? Is this true for me? Is this am I being genuine in this, in whatever I'm doing? If the answer is yes, if the answer is yes, then you're able to pray with truth. And praying with truth is what allows things to go from potential to actual. I said, we're going to allude to later, how do you make things from potential to actual? And the answer is through prayer. Praying for it. But only with truth. When your prayer lacks sincerity, it lacks truth, you're not bringing from potential into actual. Because in essence, truth is only one. Praying with genuine honesty to God alone, this is what brings in potential to actual. Now it says in a pasuk, those who seek your face, Yaakov forever. And what do we say Yaakov is the concept of? Truth. And it's also the concept of the face. Because what is Hashem's face or redeeming quality? Truth. That's why it says, grant truth to Yaakov. Because his truth is one. He has no secondary agenda. He has no agenda. He's doing it because it's true. That's it. This is the explanation of when we say every day, Ahala Hashem b'chayai. I praise Hashem with my life. Meaning my life. I'm not dependent on anybody else's life. Does that make sense? Then it's really hallelujah. I can really praise Hashem when I know it's just me and Him. And everybody else is a pawn in Hashem's game of life. That is, He's not dependent on other human beings. Because with my life, meaning specifically my life, I live from my own life. My vitality is not from any other person, not even my wife, not even my kids. Because Rav Nachman says when someone is dependent on anybody else for anything,
What about being dependent on the tzaddik?
his life is no life at all. Tzaddik is your connection to Hashem. In other words, it is not his life. Why? Because he lives from the lives of others. Like they had a woman once. She was with her husband. They went to a shiur. And the rabbi said, I want somebody who's married to stand up. So this woman stood up. Said to her, does your husband make you happy? She said, no, he never did. The rabbi said to her, does your husband make you happy? She said no, publicly. So this is very embarrassing for the husband. However, she said, let me explain myself. My husband's amazing. He's great. He's a wonderful person. However, he doesn't make me happy because I make me happy. He can add to it, but he doesn't make me happy. She's holding by truth. Our attempts in life, the more that you realize that Hashem is pushing you and prodding you in every direction in your life, it's so that it's just you and Him.
Can you repeat that?
The whole reason why Hashem gives you difficulties in your life, it causes you not to have the respect or the admiration or the peace of other people in your life. It's often because Hashem doesn't want you to depend on somebody else for that happiness. gave you the example of the woman who said, the rabbi who said to the woman, does your husband make you happy? She said, no, I make me happy. And this is our goal in life. He can only add to it, but he doesn't make me happy. Our goal in life is that we should be the source of our own happiness, which comes from Hashem, and then we can say, I praise Hashem with my life. I don't need anybody else's life to make me happy. I'll give you a quick example from my personal life. I grew up in a family that my parents were not necessarily the model for this, like many of them. They're very dependent on each other for happiness. People were not allowed to go to sleep in my house unless the fighting ended. Why? You think it's because it's coming from a good place. We shouldn't go to sleep angry. But what's the real reason? You don't feel comfortable with somebody going to sleep angry with you because you depend on them for your happiness. Right? So I took those psychological issues and I brought them into my relationship with my wife. And we used to get into a lot of fights. I couldn't go to sleep if we're fighting. And she is fine with it. Because in Israel, that's all they do is they fight. And they go to sleep. They fight and they go to sleep and they wake up and it's not a big deal. And me, I'm like, I'm tearing my skin out because I can't take the fact that we're fighting. And I remember one time we got into a fight and it was after years of being together and it like reached like a tipping point. And I just sat in my chair and I started crying like a baby. Me. I said to Hashem, what do you want from me? I'm doing the best I can. Maybe I'm not the best husband. Maybe I'm not doing the best job. I'm really doing the best I can. I don't know what else you want from me. And then I realized, and I was very honest with myself. I said, David, what is wrong? And I realized what it is. That I am depending on somebody else to be happy. And Hashem is pushing me to get to the point that I don't need anything for my happiness. And that was a big turning point for me.
What were you depending on? Your wife?
My wife.
What's wrong with that? You want to see her happy.
You want to see her happy, but she shouldn't need, nothing should need to be for you to be happy. It's nice that she's happy. You want to do your best to make her happy, but it's not even in your... We're getting to trying to internalize that the results of your life are not in your hands. They're in Hashem's hands. If you're doing your best and your wife is not happy, it's not on you. If you're doing your best, you can honestly look in the mirror and say, I'm doing my absolute best. So why is Hashem not letting her be happy with me? Because He's trying to push you to a point that you have real truth in your life. Because you desire truth. You desire truth greatly. So what does Hashem do? He makes it so it's just you and Him. Because as long as you have a little bit of, I need something from somebody else, you don't have truth. That's what it means. Ahala Hashem b'chayai. I praise Hashem with my life, not anybody else's life. My vitality is not dependent on anybody else. In other words, it is not his life because he lives from others, and therefore he can never really pray honestly. Because he thinks he gets his money from work. Because he thinks he has this thing with his wife. Because he thinks he has X, Y, and Z. His kids are acting up. He needs to do something and get some certain therapeutic remedy. Whatever it is. All of this is coming from a blemish in truth. But when I am not dependent on other human beings and my life is my own, then I am capable of praying to Hashem honestly. And then I can say, Allah Hashem b'chayai. I can praise Hashem with my life. And this is like our sages taught. When someone is dependent on other human beings, his world turns to darkness.
That's why Hashem says they live this way. That's why Hashem says they live this way. To not be dependent on anybody, mom. Not forget your parents. Slaughter your kid, forget your children. Your wife passed away, forget your wife. I'm the one in charge of that. You can see that with David, Moshe, and all these great leaders.
And when there is truth, what happens? Automatically the Rishayim are destroyed. We have a very famous principle in the Torah that when good ascends, bad has to descend. They can't be both going up together. As soon as the Yetzer Tov is rising, the Yetzer Hara has to be falling. And what's the Yetzer Tov? It's truth. As soon as truth rises, falsehood falls. This is Alma de Shikra. This is the world of falsehood, the world of lies. And this is why we're not living in a perfected state. Because perfection comes from truth. But in the Olam Haba, what's the big difference between then and now? Is that is the world of truth and this is the world of lies. So therefore, if we're able to draw down truth into our life, so we're drawing Olam Haba into Olam Hazeh. And this is why it says that the truth will be established forever. Now in the Gemara, there's somebody who comes up to a big rabbi and he says to him, you see that the nations of the world have been dominating you guys for generations and generations, and you say you're holding on to the truth. And the truth should be establishing you because that's what your Torah says. He says you would be saying good if the Pasuk didn't say Tikon, it will be established in the future, not now. This is the world of lies. In the future, the truth will be established. This Gentile ended up converting to Judaism through this conversation.
What a Jew.
Torah is this?
Yeah.
Torah number?
This is Torah 66.
It's a Gemara story. It's not in the
Right, but he's saying what Torah is this from?
No. Which Gemara is this?
The Gemara is from, one second.
Can you repeat the Gemara, please?
There was a Roman official. He challenged Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon. He said to him, do you believe, maybe it's from the Zohar actually, do you believe that your Torah is true, whereas faith of the nations is false? He says, yes, of course. He says, so why have the nations ruled you for so many generations? They must be the established ones. And then he replies with the pasuk that says, Tikon, it will be established. In the future, the truth is going to be established, not now. Now it's a lie, and that's why you guys are on top. Now, on account of the truth that's going to be revealed in the future, the nations of the world will be defeated. Why? Because as soon as truth rises, lies and evil automatically is thrown away. This is why when we attain truth in this world, then the aspect of the face is revealed, and we instill this world with the aspect of the world to come. And this line is truth. So the thing that's preventing a person from bringing potential to reality in their life is they're not holding on to truth. Meaning they're wasting seed, or they're depending on others.
Or they're getting angry.
Or they're getting angry. Why are you getting angry? Because you don't think it's coming from Hashem, right? When your wife is giving you a difficult time and you get angry, why are you getting angry? Because you think your wife is giving you a difficult time. Not because Hashem is. What happens when you don't have money and you need money? You get angry. Why are you getting angry? Because you think your money is coming from people. Anger is a result of not holding on to truth. It's a lack of truth. Yeah, one second. Let me finish this last thing and then we'll do questions. We'll continue tomorrow. And this is the meaning of, on Shabbat it says, speak words. Why? Because Shabbat is the aspect of Olam Haba, when speech and truth are perfected. Meaning, what type of speech are we supposed to engage in on Shabbat? Lashon HaKodesh, holy speech, Torah, mitzvot, X, Y, and Z. Not mundane speech. So when you take that speech and you bring it into your week, that's the aspect of taking Olam Haba and bringing it to Olam Hazeh. And this is perfecting your speech. Your conversation on Shabbat should not resemble your weekday conversations, because your conversations in Olam Haba are not going to be like the conversations of Olam Hazeh. And therefore you want to bring those conversations into this world. Now I want to say, we have another reason why Bodhidu is so important. Because what's the concept of Shabbat? That you have time alone, and you don't have any of the stressors of your real life, and you're able to connect to Hashem in the deepest way possible. Right? What is Bodhidu? You are disconnecting yourself from your life for 1 hour as if you have nothing else to do. Because how else can you possibly take an hour out of your day to talk to Hashem in a field when you have work to do, when you have school to go to, when you have relationships to attend to? And the answer is, you must be holding by the truth. You must have an aspect of Shabbat. Because on Shabbat, you stop what you're doing because you believe in Shabbat. So too, when you need to have Shabbat every day. That Bodhidu is like taking Shabbat into your week.
That's what that means.
That's taking Olam Haba into Olam Hazeh. And that's why the Gemara says that if you could, you would be talking to Hashem and praying all the time. Because that means that you're holding on to the truth. Any questions?
Yeah.
Don't depend on each other. This is a lack of truth.
So children lead to Mashiach because it's the best way to hold true David.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons.
That's what the Rebbe said.
The more children you do,
The Puravu is the aspect of taking from potential and bringing into actual. Mashiach is the ultimate concept of actualization. So therefore, we need to actualize all potential realities to bring Mashiach. More children. Guys, if we can just wait a few minutes until this is done.
From what he said, I was listening to the Rebbe, the Bab Rebbe.
Yes. The Babich Rebbe.
Yes.
Menachem
So
Mendel.
he said the way you bring down Mashiach, why he's not coming down, is because all the Jewish people didn't bring down all the children.
Yeah, so there's all.
They didn't bring down all the souls yet.
Yeah, the Midrashim all say this. That there's a certain amount of souls, so to speak, since the beginning of creation. They all need to come out of the vault.
Right, so once we do that, then we bring Mashiach.
So get on it. What are you doing? Go get married.
Find me a wife. Find me a wife.
Pray for it with truth.
Wait, so you said one idea.
Stop touching me. No, I'm just kidding.
One idea that you said don't be dependent on anyone.
Yeah.
You said find a wife.
So ask Hashem for it. Cultivate a relationship that you're praying to Hashem for everything.
Don't depend on anyone.
So you have to get married because Hashem told you to. It doesn't mean you're dependent on the wife to make you
Become
happy.
one with your wife, right? Because she's your other half.
So how do you become one with your wife when you're one with Hashem?
One with Hashem.
One with So this is the great question. This is the question a lot of my students have. How are you going to tell me that me getting married and me and my wife are not supposed to be like a unit? We're on the same page. We're always agreeing. We have a deep connection. I'm her left foot. She's my right foot. It's all nonsense. The marriage is she's your Ezra connector. The Torah says very clearly. She is bringing out your best by being against you. Meaning, she is squeezing your olives. And by squeezing your olives, you are getting all of the olive oil out, and then you become the real you.
She's bringing out your worst. Is that also good?
So the worst, yes, she is going to bring out your worst, but so that you can nullify it and mitigate
So
it.
then you're just left with the good.
Yes, that's
Like that's
exactly.
Shabbat, when you eat
You got it.
bad from the good. So what is that called?
Bet
Bora.
Bora.
That's the idea, right? She's your Bora.
Yeah, she's your Bora. Not your Borat, but she's your Bora. Any other questions?
That's not. So there's no such concept as divorce?
We've spoken about this many times. Rav Nachman was very much against the concept of divorce. Anybody else?
yeah. So we were talking about how to not depend on anybody else. Right?
Truth. How do you do that?
Example, yeah. Anything.
So the answer is he voted it. There's no way that you are going to come to the da'at that Hashem runs your life so much that you don't depend on other people for things unless you're speaking to him for an hour a day. I promise you, because there's no way to hold on to that consciousness that Hashem is the one who's running your life. It's going to fleet, it's going to leave you, and therefore the only way to keep it and maintain it is through constant connection and talking to Hashem, and then it's real for you, and then you can have that truth.
One last thing. So you're using your iPhone all day. You're addicted to your iPhone.
Speak for yourself.
Let's just say, just bring in an example.
I'm just kidding.
And then someone tells you, I'm taking away your iPhone, or your iPhone battery died. It's dead. You can't turn it on. You have nothing in the room. You're just alone in the room. What do you do?
Kid mother do.
Exactly. You get the idea?
No.
Let's say you were dependent on this program. Music, fun, girls, talking to your wife through it, whatever, everything. You're dependent on this thing right here.
Yes.
Alright? And then someone puts you in a room without books, without anything, without a rabbi, without a friend. You're alone in the room. The iPhone battery is dead. What do you do for the next hour?
Talk to Hashem. Good.
Exactly.
So now you're gonna do
Boredom leads to wasting.
seed. Very good. Okay, anybody else? Like Macaulay Culkin. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Have a good night. We're going to continue tomorrow, and we're going to talk about something very, very important, which is the concept of difficulties and obstacles and overcoming them. We're going to say a very, very deep episode tomorrow. I definitely wouldn't miss it.
So
I wouldn't miss it, and I wouldn't miss it.